Me, Mark Dolan, tonight in the company of the double comedic threat of Diane Spencer and Nick Dixon. I'll see you after the real headlines with Bethany Elsey.
Thanks, Mark. I am Bethany Elsey in the GB newsroom. The UK is sending a further £100 million worth of high-grade military equipment to Ukraine's armed forces. It follows a Russian rocket strike on a train station which killed at least 50 people, including 5 children in eastern Ukraine. More than 100 others were injured in the city of Kramatorsk. 2 missiles hit the station as people were trying to evacuate. One had the words "for children" painted on it. The Kremlin denies any involvement in the attack. Meanwhile, rescue workers in northwest Kyiv are clearing rubble from residential buildings that were shelled yesterday. Ukraine's Prosecutor General has reported 26 bodies have been found under 2 destroyed apartment buildings in the town of Borodyansk. The European Union has announced further sweeping sanctions against Russia, including cutting its imports from Moscow by 10%. The EU has also frozen the assets of Vladimir Putin's 2 daughters, following the same action by Britain and the US. On a visit to the Ukrainian town of Bucha, European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen promised to speed up Ukraine's membership application. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said although he's grateful, it still isn't enough.
They took territories and people. We will be able to bring back territories and will not be able to bring back people. And there will be a huge and fair responsibility for it. I am confident of that. That is why I am asking for a help in the form of sanctions. They must be toughened. Otherwise, Russia does not want to listen to anything or anybody.
The Chancellor's wife has said she will pay UK tax on her worldwide income. The couple have come under growing pressure after it emerged that Rishi Sunak's multi-millionaire wife, Akshata Murthy, holds non-dom status, which exempts her from paying tax on foreign income. It's as Rishi Sunak admitted to holding a US green card while in office. He said it was returned after he sought guidance and that he followed all laws and paid taxes in full. The Prime Minister has said he was not put on a ventilator when he contracted COVID-19 2 years ago. In an exclusive interview with GBNews, Boris Johnson explained how unwell he felt when he was admitted to hospital with the virus.
For some reason, they couldn't seem to get, my oxygen levels to get up to the levels that they wanted. And you should be roughly sort of 94% or above 94% oxygenation of the blood, and I think when I went in, I was in the 80s somewhere.
Boris Johnson was speaking with Conservative MPs Esther McVey and Philip Davies. You can watch the interview in full on Saturday's Selection tomorrow at 10 a.m. here on GB News. And Will Smith has been banned from attending the Oscars for 10 years after he slapped Chris Rock on stage. The incident happened when the comedian made a joke about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith's hair. Less than an hour later, he gave a tearful speech as he accepted the Best Actor award for his role in King Richard. Hollywood's Film Academy says Will Smith's behaviour was unacceptable and harmful. On TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, the show that tackles the big stories from Saturday's papers and catches up on the stories you may have missed. I'm Mark Dolan, and tonight I'm in the company of the elite of the UK comedy circuit. Tonight, a double act more explosive than a Smith & Wesson. Be careful where you point them. It's Diane Spencer and smoking Nick Dixon. Great to have you both with me.
I thought you were going to say Smith and Rock, like Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Well, that would do it. We'll be coming to that story very shortly. How topical. But first up, here are tomorrow's front pages. Let's start with the Mail. Rishi's wife in tax U-turn to save his job. She agrees to pay in the UK as claims emerge over his US green card and links to offshore trust. Also another story by their columnist Samantha Brick. 10 years on, women will hate my beauty even more. I predict I will have exactly the same problem. The Telegraph, Sunak's wife to pay UK tax on all income, and Oscars ban for Will Smith for 10 years. The Eye Weekend, Rishi Sunak fighting for his political survival, Chancellor's support draining away, and his political career is in jeopardy amid Tory criticism about his response to his wife's non-dom tax status. The Guardian, horror at the railway station, at least 50 die, including children, in an attack that Ukrainians were trying to flee. The Times, Sunak's wife will pay UK taxes to save his career. Murty keeps non-dom status and inheritance perk. Meanwhile, bad news for Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson, I always do that. Boris Becker. They're both blonde bombshells, but Becker's in more trouble than Johnson. Bankrupt Becker faces years in jail. The 54-year-old tennis star's reputation is in tatters after he was found guilty of a £2.5 million insolvency scam yesterday. Bad news for Boris Becker, of whom I'm a huge fan. Daily Express, Queen, I won't let down my nation, Her Majesty's pledge as she pulls out of Maundy Day church service. The Sun, evil has no limits. Russia massacres 50 civilians. And last but not least, the Daily Star. Cornwall space race. Uaria. Rocket launching out of Newquay to fight pirates. The battle against pirates will be fought by a satellite sent into space from Cornwall. Let's hope, say the Daily Star, it's not Newquay, we have a problem. Brilliant stuff, and those are your papers. So, trouble for Rishi Sunak. The halo has slipped. Akshata Murty, his wife, has said that she will pay her taxes in the UK. Shouldn't she have been doing so already? This is in the Daily Mail, Nick.
Yes, indeed. Rishi's wife in tax U-turn to save his job. So, yeah, it's a big story. We've already covered it on Wednesday. I'm slightly running out of outrage, but it is a big story. And it's very interesting. Murty said she realised many people felt her tax arrangements were not compatible with my husband's job as Chancellor. You don't say. Adding that she appreciated the British sense of fairness. I love that, as if we're like real sticklers for fairness, because we think maybe the Chancellor's wife should pay tax. But and of course, he was forced to confirm, Rishi, that he has a US green card. We're about to cover that in a minute. And the Guardian has also discovered the Treasury last week brought in a new low tax scheme that is partly designed to benefit some wealthy non-dom investors. And this is slightly controversial because it had been said that there was no changes to the policy since 2017. So there's that. And she may be able to collect dividends. She may have collected 54 million in payouts on dividends over the past 7.5 years. And she could also potentially avoid inheritance tax of 275 million. So what it is, she's agreed now she'll keep her non-dom status, but she'll choose to pay tax as a sort of nice gesture. That she doesn't actually have to pay it, but she's going to choose to pay it. So that's the story. I mean, I don't know, Mark. It was never going to look great optically, was it, for the Chancellor's wife to not be paying tax? Some people say, well, it should be seen as separate because, you know, she can handle her own affairs.
Well, it's sexist, isn't it?
Some people claim that, yeah.
I don't think it's sexist at all. I think it's down to you have the man who is responsible for our budget throughout the whole country who is telling us now, I'm going to take back £1 for every 5 I give you and the rest of it. And, I'm giving you 5p on petrol. And look, this is how you work petrol, I think. Is this how it works? What is this chip and cut? Chauffeur, he's the man who's setting the budget and his wife is taking advantage of all the loopholes.
But not breaking the law. I mean,
no.
You know, he's married to a rich woman. Go figure.
Billionaire.
It's not a crime, is it?
The irony is he's getting blamed for his wife's financial affairs, but recently he couldn't even say what a woman was the other day. So he doesn't even know what they are, Mark, but he's still suffering for their
Well, I mentioned that the halo has slipped. Do you think his hopes for the leadership of the Conservative Party are now dim?
Dim? They're struggling around in a cave somewhere with all the treasure that he's scooping back and all the taxes that we want him to pay. Yes, it's dim. And I think that it's interesting. I get this sense from Akshata Murty that if she really does truly wish that I'm here in the UK now, but I actually want to go live in India. I get the sense that when Rishi's finished his little thing, and he's finally... and
his little hobby.
Yeah, his little hobby. He likes to go places and do these speeches, and he loves this little suitcase. He gets a little red suitcase. He loves it. But when he's finished all that, then we'll go back to India. I get that impression. I think she's the one with the trousers.
Well, I'm going to be honest, this story is making me nervous because Mrs. Dolan has a lot of points on that Boots Club card. Now, let's move on to Saturday's Guardian, and we'll stay on Rishi Sunak because more trouble. It turns out that he held a green card in the USA whilst Chancellor of the Exchequer. Diane, he got rid of it, but possibly too little too late.
Too little too late. This is the next episode of Downing Street. Da, 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 da. So basically, Sunak and Murty held US green cards whilst he was Chancellor. He had the green card in 2000, before he got elected as the MP for Richmond in North Yorkshire in 2015. And he had it for at least a year when he became Chancellor. And he became Chancellor on 13th of February 2020.
What are you, his stalker?
Well,
good knowledge.
I mean, I was told that I must read things.
You've done your research. And it's odd, isn't it? You become Chancellor and yet you're still hanging on to your green card, which means you're essentially... You're still telling the Americans that your forever home will be the US.
Yeah, he is literally living kind of a double life, because to us he's saying, oh no, I want to be your MP, and here I am. And his wife's going, well, I want to go live in India. And he's secretly on the phone going, oh, yeehaw, can't wait to get back to Texas and ride around on my horse. Is that what they do, chauffeur? I want a chauffeur-driven horse in Texas. So he's kind of playing a lot of different sides, and they've got a £5.5 million holiday home. A holiday home, because, you know, it's just one that you just slop around in your flip-flops, because it's only £5.5 million.
Yeah, it's like a little villa.
A bit of rising damp, couple of broken windows at the back.
Yeah, a couple of old rugs.
Where is this holiday home?
Oh, that is in America.
In California.
See.
Yeah, you see. So they have properties there.
Diane, in your view, what's worse? The perceived tax avoidance of his wife, or the green card that he held, which was essentially his semi-commitment to going and living in America?
Well, I would say that that is a tricky one, because, again, like you said, she has not broken any laws, but at the same time, because of the green card, she would have been forced to pay tax to America. Because you are treated as a resident, you want the US to be your permanent state of residency. So has she been paying tax to America while she's not been paying tax to us? It's a difficult one. For me, I don't know, personally, possibly the green card, really, because of that double-sidedness.
You kind of hope that a person that wants to lead this country or hold one of the great offices of state is quite committed to living here. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But they're not going to do it all on Zoom.
Well, I think they would try to. I mean, isn't that why we sort of left the EU? Because none of them lived here and they all wanted to tell us what to do? Wasn't that one of the key points of Brexit?
This is the problem, isn't it? When you get into politics, they dredge up every little thing about you, like which country you live in and stuff like that. It's a real downer. And I've also noticed with the Tories lately, they sort of, there's a thing of what you can do and what you actually should do. There's like Matt Hancock, when he did that thing with that famous infidelity, he was saying, well, actually, it was within the guidance at the time, which was not really the point, was it? So there's a difference between what is, what the right...
The letter of the law and the spirit of the law.
Right, exactly, Mark. Well put.
Yeah, and he's absolutely fallen on his backside when it comes to the latter, it seems.
Yes.
So are his hopes, do you agree with Diane, that he will not be our next Prime Minister?
Well, the other article was saying, there's going to be a reshuffle and he might be shuffled out, although they also claim that Number 10 is not deliberately briefing against him or anything like that. But yeah, it's not looking great for him at the moment. All
right. Well, look, Boris Johnson has enjoyed something of a political comeback in recent weeks. Boris Becker, not so much, found guilty in a court of law. Crimes against fashion, maybe, or hair, or something more serious. This in the Times, Nick.
Yeah, Boris Becker found guilty after giving bankruptcy officials runaround over missing trophies. So he had a series of trophies that have sort of disappeared. He also, there's quite a lot to it. He has several, so he has 2 German properties he failed to declare. He has a £2.25 million flat in Chelsea. He was also accused of hiding €1.13 million from the sale of a Mercedes car dealership he owned in Germany. And my favourite part about this is the money is said to have been paid into his Boris Becker Private Office Limited business account. So it's not the best name for a secret account. It's like the dodgy secret Boris money account, lol. It's not, it wouldn't be the best place to put it. So he's not a genius at this stuff, Boris. I like Boris, incredible tennis player, brilliant commentator. I really like him. So I kind of hope that, despite everything, I kind of hope he's okay and gets away with it partly. But I don't know why, I just like him. But he also, that's not the end of it. He also owed the Swiss authorities 5 million francs. That's about £4 million from a tax evasion case in 2002. Now, where I sympathise with him is that a lot of it came from an expensive divorce, Mark. See, divorce is a big problem for men these days. Just get married in the church is my advice. Don't even get married in the eyes of the state, because he divorced Barbara Becker in 2001, and then, of course, he's got to keep the maintenance payments for their 2 sons and so on. So, yeah, but he's in a bit of trouble because, in theory, you could go to prison for 6 years or get a heavy fine. The last thing he needs is more fines, really.
I don't think so. I mean, is it conceivable that he will actually enter jail? Do we know?
Well, I mean, you know, at least he's back on a court. Hey!
That will do it. Where he belongs.
Where he belongs.
Smashing it.
I mean, yeah.
Acing it in front of the judge.
This is some kind of racket he's playing with, definitely.
Does he need new balls if he goes into prison?
Oh my word, yeah, probably, definitely.
He might be presented with new balls.
He'll be demoted to ball boy. I love the fact that Nick was saying, like, he's hidden all these really hard to hide things. Like, it just gives you the impression, like, did you ever watch that programme, Can't Pay, Take It Away?
Yes.
And they sort of turn up round people's houses and they sort of knock on the door and they say, well, right, well, we'll take that. I just get the impression that, like, they knock on this door of this multi-million-pound mansion, they go in and Boris Becker's kind of there, and there's all these, like, how big is a Wimbledon trophy? Just covered in towels, just sort of like, what? There's
nothing to see here.
Yeah, kind of.
Right, yeah, that's just, he pretends it's just a normal cup or something, yeah. Because he auctioned off his trophies for 700,000, and he said that he's not in a better position today to say where they are. And there was things like 2 of his 3 men's singles trophies, his Olympic gold medal, Australian Open trophies, there's Davis Cup stuff. Yeah, so the trophies have...
A sportsman of his calibre and fame ought to be comfortably wealthy at this point. I mean, Nick's mentioned the divorces, but you have to think that he's quite self-destructive, because this is a guy who caught the eye of a waitress in a restaurant. He then had I believe, a 1-minute little clinch with her.
Really?
In a cupboard
yeah.
at the Nobu restaurant in central London.
I don't know that.
What?
Okay,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I think is known in the business as a quickie.
Total legend.
Except that this woman then conceived his child, the paternity of which he questioned for a while. Then this baby was born with hair even more gloriously red than yours. And the rest is history. But yeah, so this guy, I mean, luck's not on his side.
Don't we, Mike? Isn't he so lovable that you almost just think, oh, it's Boris?
Yeah.
Should it be?
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? There are echoes there of another Boris. Well, how about this? If you're trying to convince people that you're denazifying a country, perhaps it's best not to have actual Nazis within your rank and file, Diane.
Yes, so this is a story from The Telegraph. I mean, the only way that Putin has actually denazified Ukraine is that he has sent neo-Nazis into Ukraine, and now that he's getting them to all pull back, I suppose he could say he's technically denazifying it. But this is another one of just... What we have here is proof, which is great. Mm-hmm. We've got proof of Putin and another of his ridiculous, shameful lies. Another of his pretexts for invading a neighbouring country has been laid bare because there's a group known as Task Force Rusik, I'm going to pronounce it as, and they're recruited from nationalist circles in Moscow and St. Petersburg, and they have been hired as mercenaries, sent into Ukraine, and they have been posting photographs on social media. And thankfully, people have been looking at these photos and they've got so much information from them. And now they can see, because these neo-Nazis, they use a lot of symbolism. So they have they can see the symbols of their tattoos, the symbols of the insignias that they wear. And they can see that they're clearly in the Kharkiv region. And they've been sent there by Putin, which is just disgusting. And the worst part is that this is a very brutal group. And they have been accused of committing war crimes, and they're being investigated for war crimes by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. So it's just another example of the disgusting approach towards the Ukrainian people that Putin has taken.
Absolute horror show. Nick.
Well, I don't want to get accused of... you always get accused of being a Putin apologist if you say... Obviously, it's horrific, but also the media was having a big issue with the fact that the Azov battalion in Ukraine are also basically Nazis, and that's been a big way, Putin can use that to obviously attack the Western side. So now the press has been struggling to deal with that. So now they've also found some Nazis in Russia. So it's a Trump situation where there are bad people on many sides. Not that I'm saying it's equal when you invade a country. I'm not saying it's equal between Russia and Ukraine. But it's interesting there's Nazis on both sides. So it's just horrific all around, basically.
Well, I think what we sort of... Nazis, people who adopt that kind of doctrine, are generally violent people.
Yeah.
They are looking for something to channel their violence. So they channel it into hate and channel it into attacking other people. So it doesn't surprise me that somebody who already ascribes to that kind of sort of warped, violent thinking would end up fighting on both sides because they just want to fight.
Too right, absolutely. And what a distressing story. Well, it's time for a quick break. Stay tuned to find out what town has been named the best place to live in 2022 here in the UK. And is globalization dead? And could that be a good thing? See you shortly.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, P.O. Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Mark Dolan, and a first look at Saturday's papers in the company of 2 top comedians, Diane Spencer and Nick Dixon. Will Smith has been barred from the Oscars for 10 years. This on the front page of The Guardian. Breaking news, Diane.
Yes, well, and I think this is a good thing to do because you have to demonstrate that if you decide to go and slap somebody in the middle of such a prestigious event. I mean, my husband and I were having this chat about this, and he was saying how comfortable must he have felt to just get up in the middle of the speech and just walk up, whack Chris Rock, and then just sit down. Like, because, do you know what I mean?
Completely.
If
I
you
think
went
that's
to the
normal.
Oscars, if you went to the Oscars, or if I went to the Oscars, you'd be sat there going, OK, I will smile when I am told to smile.
Yeah, you won't even go for a wee when you're not allowed to go for a wee.
I would hold it for 8 hours. I would just be like, my kidneys would shrivel up. I'd be a camel. I would not go anywhere. I'd do exactly what I was told because I'd feel so privileged to be there.
Yeah.
I'd feel so special.
Yeah.
And he just got up and whacked someone No, terrible.
And then the effing and jeffing straight after.
Yeah. Do you really
It
think...
was just quite unparliamentary language, wasn't it?
Do you really think he was comfortable though? I thought he was just so out of control that he lost it. I don't think he was comfortable. I think he just lost it. But can I just say about this 10 years thing? What's interesting about this, because we talked about it so much, but my new thought on this is, at the time, there was a standing ovation for his speech, and people sort of sided with him.
Spineless Hollywood hypocrites.
Yeah, what's happened is there's an overcompensation now because they weirdly reacted fine to it because their sense of morality is so warped.
Yes.
And they have no idea what's going on.
And it's different rules for them than the rest of us.
So they gave him a standing ovation. I mean, of course, I like Will Smith. I've worked with him, great guy, so I hope he's all right. But
yeah, it's been about 10 minutes since you mentioned that you've worked with Will Smith.
Well, I have to for full disclosure because I just feel protective of him. But they all gave him that standing ovation, and now they're going to do more and more punishments now because they're going to be more and more embarrassed that they sort of acted like it was fine at the time. But I'll say the same thing I said the other day. He needs to get a closed marriage, non-open relationship with a nice woman. A nice Christian woman.
With a full head of hair as well, ideally.
I'm not even going to go there, Mark, because I want to get slapped.
Going to get slapped now from across the continent. Let's crack on with our next story. The best place to live in the UK has been announced. This in Saturday's Independent, Nick.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at your joke. Yorkshire Village named best place to live in UK for 2022. Who'd have thought? It's Ilkley in West Yorkshire.
It looks nice.
Well, it looks nice, yes. I mean, at least it's the north. It's the wrong bit of the north, but at least it's the north, so we're representing the north. Although they also said that Crystal Palace was the best place to live in London. Clearly wrong. So I'm not totally sure this is
Really?
correct.
What's wrong with Crystal Palace?
Nothing against Crystal Palace, but North London is the best bit. North London's the best bit. We've got all the greenery, we've got the amazing woods. As long as you don't talk to the people and avoid all their opinions, then it's the best place to live in London. You know that, Mark.
Well, I do.
I don't want to give out your exact address.
What are we looking for in the perfect town, do you think?
I'm not sure, but I think that you've got to bear in mind that this list was made by the Sunday Times, and the property editor, Helen Davies, put this list together. And my question is, where on this list does she live? And how quickly does she want to sell her property?
Yeah.
Because there's
Are you suggesting an inside interest, like a kind of insider trading conflict of interest? How dare you?
Actually, I know I sound like very cynical.
Well, it's funny because I was reading her article. It has got a lot of Yorkshireisms in it. It starts E by gum, doesn't it?
Oh, does it now?
Yeah. So I think you're right. I smell a Yorkshire rat there. It could be possible.
Can I answer? Sorry, I was going to answer Mark's question from earlier. It was.
Oh, please don't. Don't make a habit of that.
Well, in the article, it was commended for its magical scenery, high-rated schools, club sports, ease of getting around, and the local street market. So that is what makes a good town.
But isn't what makes a good town having a Costa?
Yeah, I mean, I would say...
Or a Starbucks or a Nero.
It depends on who you are and what you want. Like, do you want an ice skating rink?
Not
Because
really.
does it have one? Yeah,
Not bothered.
Yeah, see, look, not bothered. But I love an ice skating rink. So for me, Guildford already... Yes.
Yeah, because that's like you've got that very specific request of an ice skating rink.
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker for you.
Definitely. I mean, if you can get an ice skating rink next to a donut shop, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
Well, actually, let me give you a definition. My definition of a posh town and a rough town. Okay, a rough town is one that's actually brought up by having a Starbucks. Okay, like it's a selling point. And a posh town is one that's brought down by having a Starbucks.
Ah, interesting. Because I remember in Crouch End, North London, they got a Wetherspoons and there was outrage.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
but there's other places where that would be an upgrade.
Right.
And it would be an upgrade in my book, by the way, because nothing beats the spoons. I'm looking for a Costa. I want a Wetherspoons. A Big Next would be nice. Ideally across 2 floors. Is that wrong?
My check problem is next at home. I can spot this.
Oh, yeah, now you're talking.
My problem is I just disapprove of London fundamentally in so many ways, but I can't possibly live anywhere else because everywhere else is rubbish. Even though I love the north, but I'm not going to go back there. Do you know what I mean?
There you go.
Well, I can't believe I've said that. I'm going to get in trouble.
You can't now.
Love Cumbria.
You know, you're like this kind of glittering celebrity.
That's the problem.
There's no way you can connect with those real earthy people ever again.
I'll return to Cumbria one day. I'm going to run in a red wall.
All you're going to do is just head off to Hollywood and hang out with your face-slapping mate, Will Smith.
Me and Will just banned from the Academy for 10 years.
Too right. Let's power through a few more stories in this section if we can. And this is an absolute nightmare story. Women being spiked in clubs has reached epidemic levels. This in the Mail, Diane. The most appalling crime, and yet, horrifically, it's become very commonplace.
Yes. So as many as 43,000 people may have been spiked by drink or drugs in the UK last year. but they are not well reported. There's just 1 in 12 are being reported to the police, which you can sort of understand because it's a very harrowing thing to happen. You're already out, you're drinking, but then, so you're already a little bit impaired. Let's say, I mean, I'm taking an average sort of experience, and then you lose consciousness.
Yeah.
And then you wake up somewhere else, and you don't know what state you wake up in. You don't know who you've been with. It's a very terrifying mentally and physically thing to happen. Now, the difference between spiking and there's the spiking, which some people are doing it with injections. Now, a medical professional has said that this is rarer, thank goodness, because it's a very evil, malicious thing.
What would that be, to stab someone with a syringe?
Yeah, you actually, there's a few people that are going out with actual syringes which have got drugs in, and they a young lady called Mare got stabbed by one of these, and it was obviously a terrifying experience.
What, like through your clothing or something?
Well, I don't know.
It's crazy, isn't it?
This is the thing. The medical expert is saying, thankfully, this is very rare because they have to get hold of the syringes. They have to get hold of drugs that would work very quickly.
And is it the idea that you're in a noisy, busy bar and if a really sharp needle goes into your arm, you kind of almost don't notice it, like a bee sting or something?
Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes when you're in bars and you get knocked, you get shoved and, and people, oh, sorry. So it could happen. She actually started a website called I Was Spiked, so that other people could sort of write to her. And she says that many people don't report it to the police. And it's quite difficult as well, because she said she went to A&E for 4 hours, and after that time, the drugs had actually left her system. And then, you have no evidence. And unfortunately, you just have this person who's sort of sat there, who's been on a night out, who said, well, this has happened to me, but I don't know if it did. So it's very... Because
drugs like Rohypnol will have the effect of making you forget the circumstances around the time when you received
and although this could mainly affect... they're saying that it could mainly affect women, but I know that it also has happened to men. And don't think that just because you're not sort of a 20-year-old and you're, let's say that you're a lot older and you're out and you're just having a nice drink. I don't want to panic people, but it doesn't mean that you're totally safe, because you don't know what people's intent are. If they're already going to premeditate and organise this, so simple rules, very simple for having a lovely time out. Just keep an eye on your drink. If you don't know somebody, don't let them buy the drink for you. Or if they do buy the drink for you, do it within sight. Don't leave your drink alone to go to the loo. Stay with your drink. Take your drink with you.
And this crime shouldn't be normalised. And there shouldn't be any sort of amusement around it, like, oh, look, I've just gone and done his or her drink as a sort of, a wacky, a jolly jape. The other issue, of course, is that if you get spiked and you're overdosed on this drug, it could kill you or injure you.
I was going to say, as a response to the jape thing, where I'm from, your mates used to do this to you. I'm not making light of this story at all, but you'd be drinking with your mate. They would spike your drink. I remember going out once, I was really ill before we even got to the pub, because someone had put vodka or something in my beer. Like, in the north, your mates spike your drink for a laugh. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Obviously, that's not great either. It's not as bad as this, but it's...
And, of course, the problem is that it's a very clever crime. It's an evil, insidious, but clever crime, because the victim of someone being spiked, they might just look drunk, which means that if an abuser wants to, escort someone out of the building, it's the perfect alibi, isn't it? Oh, look, she's had too much, I'm going to drop her in a cab.
But I think it's important. So if you do go out, if you can, go out with your friends, keep an eye on your drink, and just look after each other.
Yeah.
And you
a friend of mine had her drink spiked, and she actually was having this drink, and these guys were with her, but she was among friends, and then these guys sort of joined the group, which happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But she didn't have a good feeling about them, and anyway, she had a couple of drinks. And she just asked her friend, can you just stay with me, because I'm not sure about those guys, which was a very astute thing to do.
Good.
Anyway, then they left the bar and they went off to a cash point, and they were sort of queuing up for money. And there just came a point where her friend turned around and she was on her own and she fell. And both her front teeth were knocked out.
Oh.
And this was all because suddenly the spiked drink kicked in, and just the friend didn't realise that she would have to literally hold this young woman up at all times, not knowing that she was about to collapse. So it's a very serious crime, and that's a really bad injury, and that affected her life very negatively for quite a while. So Yeah, an evil thing to do. Two more, if we can, in this section. Globalization is dead, according to the CEO of Levi's. This in the Telegraph on Saturday, Nick.
Yeah, very interesting. Globalization is dead. Supply chain issues and geopolitical forces have thrown businesses into disarray. And the boss of Levi's says, I think globalization is dead, and this trend where this industry, the apparel industry, has habitually chased the lowest cost manufacturing base around the world over the last couple of centuries is coming to an end. And a very interesting statement, I think, when he says we're going to see more manufacturing shifting closer to market because of the importance of that agility and responsiveness and having confidence that this product is going to be on the shelf and in store when you need it to be. The reason this is so interesting to me is it's a purely business statement, but it has inherently political implications because the sort of elite, whatever you want to call them, the sort of the G7 type leaders around the world, they've all been committed to globalization at all costs for the last few years. Whereas people like Trump, of course, have talked about bringing manufacturing back.
America first.
Yeah, exactly. And this is thought to be all right-wing and nationalistic. But now you've got the boss of Levi's essentially saying, hey, guys, we're going to actually have to do this.
Is it a good thing?
Well, I think it's just a thing, really. It's because of lockdowns, things like this, because of inflation, all sorts of things have affected this supply chain issue. He's saying when you're missing sales because a ship is parked outside and can't get to the port and unload containers, you're leaving money on the table. So I think it's a good thing in lots of ways, because we've seen with the war, we're going to have to get more self-sufficient in general. That's a good thing. Become more self-sufficient with energy, with food, in all aspects. I think that must be a good thing because we just don't want to be relying on China or Russia or whoever.
Diane?
Yeah, I think let's bring some manufacturing closer to where we sell it. That's what they're saying. We'll make our own Levi's. We'll call them Levi's.
Yeah,
they won't quite be the same, but we're going to make them.
Or what about a British smartphone? How about that? UK phone.
Oh, that bit Brit phone.
Brit phone.
The Brit brick.
Straight in there.
You sense it would probably be a bit rubbish, don't you, immediately? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Well, I love this country, but I'm not sure phones... I mean, we do have to do these kind of things, but would we be the best at making phones?
Let's start with trousers.
Yeah,
right, we'll start with jeans.
And see where we get on. Brilliant stuff. Well, we're going to take a very short break, but we've saved our best till last. Act 3 of Headliners is on its way. We'll be discussing the international arms trade, space meat, and what gives you the ick. See you shortly.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering
as their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blankets for 4 families.
£100 provides emergency food for 2 families per month.
It's easy to give. You can donate online at dec.org.uk or call the 24-hour donation line on 0370 60 60 900. If you prefer to send a cheque, please post it to the Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, P.O. Box 999, London, EC 3A 3AA. To give £10 on your mobile, simply text the word crisis to 70150. Standard network charges apply for calls and you must be 16 or over. Texts are charged at the standard network rate and your £10 donation will be added to your bill.
100% of your donation goes directly to the DEC to save lives and deliver critical support where it's needed.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Mark Dolan, and leading the charge through Saturday's papers, we've got Diane Spencer and Nick Dixon. And the next story from the Mail is all about the headline. Take it away, Nick.
Yes. This one is, which one? The headline.
Oh, this will be the Yakuza thing.
Oh, that one.
It's the Yakuza.
Oh, of course, it had to be that one. Thank you, Diane.
Well done. Nice rescue.
I knew really, but
what a team player she is.
I was testing you. Yes, this is an amazing headline. Yakuza boss is busted in NYC sting for trying to buy surface-to-air missiles stolen from a military base in Afghanistan so he could funnel them to militias in Myanmar who paid him in meth and heroin.
Yeah!
It's like an entire short story from Chuck Palahniuk. It's like a Grand Theft Auto explanation. This is Takeshi Ebisawa, 57, of Japan. Unwittingly negotiated deals with an undercover DEA agent with plans to have US-made weapons shipped to insurgent groups. And who'd imagine that would have gone wrong? There we got the picture. Yeah, I thought that was a strange picture to take. He's there with a bazooka. You don't generally want to, like, get a quick selfie, do you?
And orange shoes is perhaps the most
You're messing with stolen deadly weapons.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Have you never looked at El Chapo's Instagram account or, like, El Chapo's girlfriend?
Out.
They love showing off their guns and stuff.
Yeah, it's all about that.
It's not gone too well for this guy because he's getting prosecuted. And so the drugs were destined for New York streets, and the weapon shipments were meant for factions of unstable nations. Oh, this is my favourite bit as well. He allegedly used the code word bamboo in place of the word weapons, as if he was just trying to feed like a really hungry panda or something. Like, why would you need that much bamboo? But he also used the word cake for drugs. Even I know that. I'm the squarest guy out there. That's one of the worst code names.
Not great, is it?
That's well established.
Well,
yeah, so
there you go. The good news is that he has been penciled in for an appearance on the next series of Dragon's Den, so good luck. Good luck with that one. Deborah Needham, I'm out. P&O are covering themselves in glory once again, aren't they? This in the Star, Diane.
Oh, my gosh. P&O Ferries have suspended all services and they've told their customers to find another firm.
Okay.
I cannot believe the lack of customer service on this. And they did it on a tweet, which is shocking. First of all, they sack everybody on Zoom, and then they decide to tweet to their customers, oh, you might want to find a different ferry. What if you were checking Twitter as you're stepping onto the ferry? You go, oh, no, wait, stop, kids. All right, everybody stop. All right, back off the ferry. Right, get off the ramp. It's ridiculous. And the big crisis that this is causing is gridlock in Dover. They have been on this horrendous kind of, their whole town is like just jammed with lorries and everything because the P&O ferries aren't running. And the Dover District Council leader, Trevor Bartlett, has said that the town will not tolerate another week of gridlock, and he may declare a major incident because it's been 8 days. And if he does that, I basically think it means he's going to start giving guns to traffic wardens.
It's inevitable, isn't it?
Yep.
Armed traffic wardens, perhaps bazookas. I mean, that guy, that entrepreneur could sell some to the Dover authorities. So why exactly have P&O had to cancel these cruises? What is the reason? Because they've got rid of all their people. Surely they've hired new people. Why can't the cruises happen?
I am not totally sure, because literally yesterday they said, right, everybody, everything's going to be normal. And then today they went on Twitter, no, it's not.
So they have, obviously, they're not able to crew up. I mean, this is a PR disaster and a logistical disaster.
Their ship has sunk.
Oh, dear, nicely
And they were
done.
doing so well.
They were indeed. Have you got anything to say about this?
Not massive, no, just that it's funny they sacked 800 staff, not funny, but now they're sacking their customers. And we've covered P&O so much, I now know the CEO's name from memory, which I didn't think I'd ever need to know. So we can move on.
Well, you might not have to know that for much longer.
Thank you.
The ick. What is it and how do I avoid it? This in the Mail, Diane.
Well, so single women have been sharing the dating icks they can't stand.
Ooh.
And an ick is when the attraction that you feel to a current or potential partner suddenly changes to a feeling of disgust. So it's some kind of little just foible, dare I say it, that they do, and you just go, and and you sort of want to gag when they see you do it. And some of the examples are very strange. Some of them I can kind of understand, but some of them, when a guy runs towards a bird and it doesn't fly away. Why is your man running at birds? That's my question. If the man ran towards the bird, that's the ick for me, not the fact that the bird doesn't fly.
And it's the idea that he's so ineffectual that he can't even get this bird to move. Is that what icks them out about it?
Yes.
I think so. It must be that.
So, I mean, it's classic Daily Mail. It's classic. It's just basically the vivisection of a blog. But do you have anything that would put you off for me?
Yeah.
It's cheap people.
Okay.
I don't mind It's when they kind of dissect the bill and
Correct.
they whine about everything.
Well, that would be all Germans. Because Mrs. Dolan is a German, and when you go out for dinner with Germans, certainly in Germany, the waiter goes from each, if you're in a group, waiter goes to each person at the end and says, and what did you have? And what did you have? No, and they don't have a rounds culture at all.
I don't mean that. I mean when somebody whines about it, like, oh, that's expensive. Oh, that's that's too much for a steak. Yeah. Oh, you can't pay that. And it's constant.
I know what you mean. People that know the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Yeah. Like they won't even splash out for a birthday or something. You just think, oh...
What about the coupons, people? I've got friends who've got coupons on the fridge.
Believe me, I love coupons. I love saving money. Pro-coupon, pro-saving money, pro-discount code, pro-shopping, pro-yellow sticker, all those things. But just don't whine about it. It's the whining.
Yeah,
you know?
I do like that. Sorry. I agree.
Someone I agree with in the article. One of them was someone coming into an empty restaurant and saying, lucky we booked. That would be annoying. But one of them was really hard. Someone said, I can't look at my partner when he's showering. He looks pathetic. He needs to lift, bro. Do you know what I mean? Sort out your bench press. But that
would do it. Stop crying in the shower.
Or get a different partner because she sounds a bit horrible. But yeah, then what's your ick, Mark?
I don't have an ick. If they've got a pulse, I'm in. I am an ick-free zone. Saturday's Star next, and has science gone too far, Nick?
Great question, Mark. Oh, has it not gone far enough? Scientists reverse aging in human cells by 30 years in groundbreaking study. So this is great. This is Cambridge researchers they're able to turn back time for human skin cells, giving them the functionality of tissues 3 decades younger, Mark. You'd be like a child again, Mark. And it says lifespans are getting longer. Some scientists predict that people could be living to over 130 by 2100. Now, Aubrey de Grey, you'll know him from all the podcasts you listen to, Mark. He thinks the first person who'll live to 1,000 has already been born. And then actually we're going to be able to fix aging. Diane's fixed it now just by doing that.
Diane's giving herself a manual facelift.
I'm torn on this because I do want to live forever, but then again I'm torn on all this transhumanism stuff seems a bit creepy. The kind of people that are into it are always weird sort of Silicon Valley people. So I'm not totally sure, and I think it's somehow anti-Christian. But
apart from that, it's fine.
Well, I'm very torn because I want to live forever, but I don't really enjoy life. So
what about all the dry cleaning bills?
I'm on that's the interesting
130 years is a lot of dry cleaning bills, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose if you're really youthful, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it. I haven't thought it through. That's the first thing your mind goes to, Marcus.
I think so, yeah. Netflix, what's that, $10 a month?
But you'd still get the same, you'd be so youthful, you'd be working hard, you'd be getting the same money.
No, I just think it gives you a little bit more time to kind of enjoy things. I mean, the beauty industry is worth billions, billions.
That's true.
And if they can put this stuff into a jar, then they're going to make a lot of money. I mean, at the moment, you get a lot of creams that they kind of say things like, this will lift your face. And you know what? When you take the lid off, the cream can't lift itself. And I'm like, you can't lift yourself. You're not going to lift my face.
It's a really good point. I mean, it'll be confusing because you won't know if someone's old until you see them watching Mrs. Brown's Boys and really enjoying it or something.
Right.
Or moaning about modern music. Yeah. Music, you can't hear the lyrics anymore. There's no melodies.
Yeah, I don't know, Mark. It's the one way you can do this is just live in the present, and then life's eternal anyway. That's what I've read anyway in a book.
Oh, thank you very much, Father Nick Dixon. Where's the beef in space, according to Saturday's Mail, Diane?
It's meat, Mark, but not as we know it. So astronauts will be growing beef cells on the International Space Station to make artificial steak, because obviously as space exploration gets bigger and bigger, we need to take food with us. And food is a bit of an issue in space. It's basically boiled down to cubes and tubes. That's what the astronauts get at the moment. And they make a big thing about the food because it's like the thing that they look forward to. And as soon as they land, the first thing they want is a salad. Now, what's interesting is that they're going to take up bovine cells and they grow them in microgravity. Well, and sort of anti-gravity, really. There's no gravity because they're in space. But it takes them 3 weeks to grow the beef on the ground. And they're saying, so we're going to see if we can... It takes you 3 weeks to grow a steak. They're going to see if they can grow it up there. But the mission's only 8 days long. So I reckon the best they're going to get is a cocktail sausage.
That's inevitable, isn't it? I agree. That's not going to touch the sides.
No.
When you're up in space.
And you're going to Mars. That's a long trip. That's like at least 6 or 7 months.
God, Nick, do you fancy this
Well,
weird
I
space
sympathise
diet?
with astronauts who want to eat good food, but it sounds a bit too much like Bill Gates' synthetic meat to me. You know how Gates is trying to get us all to eat synthetic meat. Sounds like a WEF scheme. My side of the internet would say that, probably.
Yeah, too right. You mean the dark web. OK, moving on. Saturday's Independent next, and a US veteran is being accused of defrauding a border wall. GoFundMe, Nick.
Veteran who tried to crowdfund $25 million private border wall with Steve Bannon will plead guilty to fraud. So, I mean...
Wait, can you tell... So what is the story exactly?
I can give you the story, Mark.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do.
Oh, God bless you.
It's basically... Bannon and this guy, Brian Colfage, were accused of sort of using a crowdfunding scheme, but actually just sort of taking the money for other things rather than the actual wall. Now, Bannon has already been pardoned by Trump for this. It was one of the last things Trump did was pardon Bannon. And whereas the other guy has now changed his plea from guilty to not guilty to guilty. I'm a little sceptical. One, because it's in the Independent, which is not really a newspaper. And two, because after the Russia hoax, you know, that was fake. They treated Roger Stone terribly with that pointless FBI raid. Obama famously imprisoned Dinesh D'Souza for a very minor thing that no one had been to prison for. So when I see the left-wing media going at Bannon, just as a very objective person, I'm always a bit suspicious. But hey, it doesn't look great for this Colfage guy, though, if he is suddenly pleading guilty.
Yeah. Is he your favourite red-faced celebrity?
Who?
If it was Bannon versus Sir Alex Ferguson, which way do you go?
I'm just very objective, Mark. I'm just an objective newsman. It's not saying I like Bannon or dislike him. I just totally tell the truth like it is, straight down the middle.
Of course you do, as you see it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Saturday's Sun next. And it looks like supporting Hull could actually be paying dividends for once, Nick.
Millionaire Hull owner to take 500 fans on an all-expenses-paid holiday to 5-star resort in Turkey this summer. So this is Acun Ilıcalı. That's my best attempt at pronouncing it. He has confirmed a horde of supporters, the Sun's word, not mine, I'm not using the word horde, will be taken on an all-inclusive trip to a 5-star resort in Antalya in Turkey. And it'll be great if they want to get hair transplants like Leo or dental work. And it's a great time to be a Turkish... Leo admits that. He admits the hair transplant. That's not hidden. He got it in Turkey. So it's a great time to be a Turkish football club owner. Not such a good time to be a Russian one, famously. And this guy, by the way, Mark, is dubbed the Turkish Simon Cowell. And I'm sure Hull fans will be saying it's a yes from them. Am I right?
Well, that's
is this even on?
Beautifully done, I swear to God. That's why we pay the big bucks.
I was like you there, Mark. I was like a presenter.
You were very presentery. I mean, this is a rare good news story from the world of football, isn't it?
It's so magical. I think Mr. Acun Ilıcalı, when he describes how he felt when he went into the stadium and he saw all of the fans and they all made him feel really welcome because they love their club and he's put all the money into their club and they were there and he said, and they were just all there in the club's colours and they're waving the flags of my country and I just felt so great and I just want to... And he said, but sometimes the stadium isn't full, so I want the stadium to be full. And so he's taking 500 fans, the ones who attend the most games.
That's key, yes.
The ones who attends the most games, and he's going to take them on this incredible holiday. And I think it's magic. I think it's lovely.
It is a lovely, lovely story. Well, that was our penultimate one. How about this to finish? Saturday's Metro and algorithms. Didn't Nadine Dorries get rid of those, Diane?
Nadine Dorries has got rid of a lot of things, mainly trust and hope. She may have also got rid of algorithms as well. So algorithms can spot depression in Twitter users with a 90% accuracy, according to teams from Brunel University. Now, I personally think that they might have got this a bit wrong, because, sorry, gang, if you've been working on it, but they have an artificial Twitter bot, and it works by first excluding all users with fewer than 5 tweets. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit sad. I don't tweet. I would say that's the first hint that something is not right. But they're excluding the silent sad people for some reason. And then moving on, it then considers 38 distinct factors, including the emojis that they use. Now, again, I do feel they've got this slightly wrong, being as my mother has learnt how to use emojis. Does she use the right ones? No. So, quite often she'll send me just a loaf of bread. And I'm like, OK, I don't know what this loaf of bread is saying. And then she'll send me like a pirate, and I'm like, OK, she's found the pirate. I don't know what's going on. So again, I'm not sure. I mean, they've created this bot, and they're saying that it could potentially flag up a user's depression before the user even knows it. But of course, there's the evil side. And Nick, you will enjoy this.
Thank you.
It could be used on other social media sites like Facebook and WhatsApp and used by employers to check your mental status. Yeah,
No, I don't
paranoia,
like that.
the deep web.
Yeah, it's bad. All I was going to say was that the headline is, algorithm can spot depression in Twitter users with 90% accuracy. It should be 100% accuracy because they're currently using Twitter. So, of course, they're miserable. That's my only point on that.
Well, that's right. I mean, isn't that the point, Diane, that everybody that's tweeting is angry or, bipolar, mental health issues? It's just, it's a horrible, murky...
Cesspit is the word sometimes.
No, wait, you say that. You've got to work with it, right? You see, the things that I follow like accounts like things that are called "There is no cat in this picture," where it shows you a picture and you have to find.
I've seen that one. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's good.
Blimey, that's hours of fun.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I follow libs of TikTok. That's my
guys.
problem. Libs of TikTok, just people doing really dumb, annoying left-wing things.
Right?
Yeah.
The cat one's good.
It's just videos of woke teachers in American
Yeah, it's awful.
schools.
It's awful.
Yeah.
You're so angry, but you're clicking on it anyway. That's most of Twitter, isn't it?
But what
Although
about...
Musk's taken over. Sorry,
if
9.2%. He's taken over, isn't he? Elon Musk. So Twitter's going to be good suddenly.
I think the most dangerous tweets are the ones that are sent late at night under the influence. Because I love to spot drunk tweets. You can just see when someone's decided just to throw off the shackles and go, right, here's what I really think. And then the next day it gets quietly deleted. Have you ever, well, you're not a drinker, are you, Diane? Have you ever tweeted under the influence?
No, because drunk Diane, she makes me breakfast and sandwiches. She doesn't do my Twitter account.
Glad to hear that. Well, drunk Diane's very well and nearly as brilliant as sober Diane. Thank you so much to both of you for a marvellous romp through tomorrow's papers. My thanks to Diane Spencer and Nick Dixon. We're back, of course, for more headlines tomorrow, and that will be at 11 o'clock. And I'm in the hot seat for Mark Dolan tonight from 9 o'clock. We've got lots of big topics. We'll be talking about sex tomorrow in The Big Question. Find out why at 9 o'clock. See you shortly.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GBNews.
My name's Tom Harwood, and every weekday we bring you The Briefing live from 9:30 a.m. The stories, analysis and live debate that you need to hear.
Quite right, Tom, of course.
Was this something that had been considered at all?
Difficult to answer.
Gas-guzzling helicopters circling. Noise is being made here.
Joe Biden walking out. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. on GB News.
Europe is in the grip of the most devastating humanitarian crisis since World War II.
The people of Ukraine are facing unimaginable suffering.
As their homes are destroyed and their loved ones are killed.
Millions of people are being forced to flee for their lives, carrying only their children, their pets, and the clothes on their back.
The pain, loss and destruction grows by the day.
The people of Ukraine urgently need our help.
Already a vast humanitarian operation is underway. Britain's Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, brings together 15 leading aid charities to respond to overseas disasters quickly and efficiently. These charities include the British Red Cross, CARE, Oxfam, Save the Children, and World Vision.
Their teams are working on the ground in Ukraine and neighbouring countries to bring vital aid to those who need it most. If you can spare it, your gift to the DEC's humanitarian appeal will go a really long way.
£10 provides essential hygiene supplies for a person for a month.
£50 provides blanket